Hello, hello.
Hi, there you are.
It took a second. I was like, when I was like doing the unmute, it got stuck and I was like, oh no, am I gonna be able to go live? But here we are. We're
Here
here.
we are. So good to see you. I've gotten to
You.
see a little bit more of you in person recently, and it's been
I was
really
gonna
fun and
say,
exciting.
I've gotten my fair share of Jenna Jam over
I
the past
know.
several weeks. It's been a good time,
It's been
TTL.
a great time. And if for those of you that are joining us in the OTC, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so excited that you're here. I'm checking out who's here. Susan's here, Leah's here, Derek's here, Julia's here. Hi, everyone. Tamiko's here. Allison's here. Thank you so much for joining us. If you don't know what we were just talking about, Tim and I were referring to all of the fun times that we've been having so far in the Tonal Training Lab.
Little
Are
training
we kind of
lab.
twinning tonight too a little bit?
Oops. Yeah, I was like, listen, Jenna, this is me struggling. I was about to show off my tonal training lab sweater, and then I knocked my water bottle, my tonal water bottle in the process. But listen, Jen and I are twinning, and I promise, Joe and I did a Facebook Live last week, and I was also wearing the same sweater. I promise you, I have changed since then. I promise I wasn't wearing the same clothes since last.
I literally just pulled this out of the dryer like 5 minutes ago. So we
Mm.
have washed them. If you've seen us recently, we
Yeah,
have done laundry, I swear.
it's a good sweater. It's a good sweater.
It's cozy. All right. Well, while we're waiting for
Katie, Susan,
everybody to join in,
Allison.
if you are coming to the Tonal Training Lab, let us know in the comments. We want to know when you're coming. If you have come
Yes.
already, let us know what you felt and thought, and when you're coming back. We want to know. We're only there for one more month. If you have no idea what we're talking about, put that in the comments too. We can save some time at the end and chat about it. But as we're letting everybody join in tonight, we are going to be talking about all things ascending Muscle Mountain 2 tonight. But before we kick things off and start talking about this awesome new program that will be dropping soon, I always like to start with a little prompt, something that the community can weigh in on. So, being that it is almost the end of January, the first month of the year, everybody typically kind of starts off with like their goals and setting intentions for the rest of the year. But then January starts to drag on and it gets really cold and it's still kind of dark and it's harder and harder and harder to kind of hold ourselves to those goals maybe. So we want to know, I'm going to start with you, Tim, and then I want the OTC to be chiming in.
All right,
What
let's do it.
keeps you motivated and gets you through the winter hump, if you will, that is especially up here in the Northeast where it is cold and dark still for a couple more months. But how do you get through these couple of months and what do you do to stay motivated with your goals?
Man, it's we were just talking about this before we went live. January and February in New York City is so depressing. I have two answers. One is my aspirational answer and then my real life answer. Both of them are true. It just kind of depends on the day. My aspirational answer is that training truly, genuinely does make me feel super good in my body. So on those days when I'm struggling, a lot of times, too, it's baked into a routine. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't feel like doing it. Okay, but it's in my schedule. So let me just do it. And then I feel amazing after. So that's like a nice feedback loop. And that is kind of like my more aspirational answer. My real life answer, because there are some times when I'm like, glued to the couch when I like my actual answer is I literally just remind myself of how good it will feel after. And even if I don't feel like it right now, I literally, in the same way that I coach you through exercises on tonal, where I'm like, okay, step your feet in between the ends of the arms. Now pick it up. I literally walk myself step by step. I'm like, okay, Timothy, sit up. Okay, amazing. Stand up now. Okay, I made two steps. Good. And then now as I'm walking, then I get to my tonal and then it's fine. It's literally coaching myself through that, like breaking the inertia. It's that activation energy. I just got to coach myself. I'm like, okay, here's step one. Deep breath. Three, two, one, stand up. Okay, good.
I absolutely love that. And hey, coaches need coaches too, and coaches
Yep.
need coaching.
Yep.
That's really awesome to hear you say. And I will say personally, what is getting me through January and February is the TTL, is the Tonal Training Lab.
Yeah.
I'm having such a blast being there, working out with all of you. Every week, you guys are in there, new coaches, new energy, new workouts. And then, of course, normally my job is a little bit more behind the scenes here at Tonal. So I've loved being able to step out and meet so many of you in person so far. And it's just been so great to hear what an impact this product and these coaches and these workouts and programs have had on your lives. So we're loving it. I'm
Fun.
already seeing in the comments how many people are coming back. And so exciting to see you all planning these trips. But if you're not able to make it to New York before February 28th, we also want to know where you think the TTL should pop up next. So if you weren't able to make it to New York, where do you think we should be next? So hit us
Where
up with
can we
that
go
as well.
posted?
But
Yes.
before we get off topic too much and start talking about other ways that we can get through the winter, one of them being an awesome program that is about to drop in about 2 days here. The release date for Ascending Muscle Mountain 2 will be on trainers on January 31st. So very exciting that we're back here again talking about Ascending Muscle Mountain. I believe the first one came out literally exactly
Like, I
a
think it
year
was
ago.
almost a year, like exactly a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's really exciting that we're back here. I think it's a great time for this program. I know people loved the first one and have been asking for a second one ever since they finished the first one. So here we are to
We're
talk about
here.
all of the ways that we have literally made the mountain bigger this time around. It is a bigger
Yeah.
mountain to climb,
Yeah.
and you will feel that right out of the gates.
Ugh, I'm tired just thinking about it.
All right. So again, it is back. It is bigger than ever. If you did not take Ascending Muscle Mountain 1, that is totally cool. Let us start from the beginning. I'm Jenna, fitness programming specialist here at Tonal, part of our performance innovation team. And with me tonight, I have the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Coach Tim Landicho, who is athletic, but definitely a party girl, and is going to lead you through not only the Ascending Muscle Mountain program, but this incredible challenge that we're going to be having kicking off in the OTC for the month of February. So the challenge will kick off on February 3rd. So mark your calendars. If you are participating in this challenge, or you just want to hang out in the challenge group for accountability, for information, for fun, we always welcome that as well. So we're going to talk about all of those ways that you can participate in this challenge as we get on tonight. So Tim,
Hello.
dive in. What do you say?
Let's do it. Should we
Do
dive
it.
into program specifics?
Yeah. So tell me
All
a little bit
right.
about, and tell everybody, what is this program? What level is it? What's the
Yep.
goal? How many workouts are we talking about? How long is it? Give us the deets.
Yeah. Okay. So this is an advanced program. It's be super fun. It's an advanced program, and in a little bit, we'll break down how can you potentially fit this to your level if you are not someone that sees yourself as advanced. We'll talk about all that in a bit, but this is an advanced program. It's a Get Lean program, and for those of you that are familiar with TEGs or your training effect goals, the training effect goals that this will give you kind of that this will score highest on is weight loss, body recomposition. And I think it's important to kind of just note at the top, you don't necessarily even need to want to lose weight. This is a great program too for just getting super conditioned. Like if you want to just get conditioned, increase your work capacity, even if you're taking a breather from other programming styles or other, let's say you've been doing just like some heavier strength work, or you've been doing more performance style stuff or improved fitness. This is kind of a great way to really test those qualities that you've built and then set you up with an even higher work capacity for whatever program you do afterwards. So it is that the TEGs are weight loss and body recomposition. As far as program specifics, this is going to be 4 weeks long, and it's going to be 4 workouts per week. And as we always do with our community challenges, we give you the suggested calendar. Always remember that that calendar is just a suggested starting point. You do not have to marry yourself to it. When we talk about ways to modify this this program and this challenge in a little bit. I can talk about ways to work with that calendar so you don't feel like it's a super rigid thing. But we do want to just give you like a structure to start with. And then with that, the average length of workouts, this one is on the lengthier side because you're going to be doing a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work. Even when I say that, I got to take a deep breath. It's going to be a lot of work. 45 to 55 minutes in length. A few of them will exceed the hour mark. So I just say this at the top mainly because I know if I'm personally about to dive into, I've done my fair share of challenging programs that have kicked my behind. And I've really had to, one thing that's been really helpful for me anytime I've prepared myself to like just mentally getting ready for a more challenging program is understanding, okay, how do I start to plan the logistics of my life and how do I just start to build this into my calendar? Because remember, when we go into a program or challenge, it's not just the 45 to 60 minutes that you're working out. It's all of the time surrounding that you want to be supporting your training as well. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. As far as the program format, if you've done Ascending Muscle Mountain 1, it's basically the same thing. If you have not done Ascending Muscle Mountain 1 and you're familiar and you're curious like, hey, what's like, are you doing this with us or are you just talking us through it? This one I will not be doing with you in real time. And I know for some members really love that. Some members love the opposite. In this particular case, I will be cueing you verbally and I'm going to be doing the warm up and cool down with you. But part of why I love that we're doing a challenge with this is for I know a lot of us that a lot of our members that love the live format stuff. A lot of the feedback that I've really heard is, oh my gosh, I love when the coach is like in there and like giving us in real time feedback and stuff. And for me, that's why I love that we're doing a challenge with this because this allows me to give you some of that real time interaction in a Facebook group in a different medium than you would be getting on your tonal. And then let me see, is there anything else I missed here? Essentially, maybe I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to cover before this, but it is a German body composition style training program, which if you're not familiar with that, I'm sure we'll dive into in just a second. So yeah.
Awesome. So just to recap, again, for those of you who are logging in and the chat is going off and Ash is in there. She said that Ascending Muscle Mountain 2 is about to be unhinged and she is not.
Super.
But yes, so the program will drop on the trainer. So it will be available on your tonals starting January 31st. But the challenge here, the group challenge, will kick off on February 3rd. 4 workouts a week for 4 weeks, and you're going to want to carve some time out of your day for those workouts, and then an equal amount of time for some recovery. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. And
Yeah.
then this is a Get Lean body recomposition focused program. And we'll be using German Body Comp as a method to achieve body recomposition. So just to kind of summarize everything that Tim said, and also for those of you that are new, we did talk about the difference between the classic program format and our live program format. Think of this as like working out with a personal trainer. They're standing by you, they're cueing you, they're giving you the motivation, but they're not doing the exercises. They're standing there and really guiding you through it. And so Tim will be guiding you through this program, but he will not be physically working out on screen with you. And we have, again, this great challenge to really help give you that extra information if you're looking for it. So that's another great benefit of participating in the challenge that kicks off. So let's talk about the science, because I'm here to talk about training principles and philosophies and how do we achieve results. Because I will say one of the biggest things that I remember from last year when Ascending Muscle Mountain 1 came out was the results that people achieved in this 4-week program. It is an advanced program and there's a lot of work that goes into it, but if you do the work, the results will follow, because this is a tried and true method. And for those of you who have been around, you've heard German body composition training and the GBC term used a lot, but for people that are new to tonal, just got their tonal, haven't done Ascending Muscle Mountain 1, haven't heard this term, Tim, tell us a little bit about what German body composition training is and how it's going to be used in this program.
Yeah, yeah. So a very relevant aside. I'm smiling right now because I'm looking at the comments and a lot of people are like, a lot of people are talking about their experience last year. A lot of people are saying like, oh, this was like a game changer for me. And I'll just say before we dive into German body comp, like the specifics, like Jenna, you and I are the same. We're like, let's talk like training principles. Part of why I think a lot of people felt so one like it challenged them so much, and two that they kind of found, even though we didn't do a challenge last year, they found this like unofficial community just with other people who are also doing it, is literally because the format of German body composition training, which I'll break down right now, is so challenging. It's super challenging. So if you're not familiar with that, German body composition style training is basically a high intensity strength training method that is based predominantly on big compound movements. So we're working full body patterns and we're doing them in quick succession with minimal rest. And these are usually going to be on the higher rep count side. And this is also going to be with a relatively heavy weight. So just like if you haven't done GBC style training yet, just picture yourself doing a lower body compound. You're doing that for like at least 10 reps, immediately minimal rest, like 30 seconds at the most. You're back into an upper body compound movement. So maybe you're doing a press and it's that same high rep count. And it's just this back to back to back to back. We'll talk about the specific layout of Ascending Muscle Mountain 2 and how it's different from Ascending Muscle Mountain 1. But it's really this big compound movement, short rest, just constant go that generates two things that we're really looking for. One is this large metabolic response. If you're like, what is that? Well, I want you to remember that muscle is your most metabolically active tissue. So, what that means is out of all the tissues in your body, muscle requires the most energy to maintain. It's the most like expensive piece of tissue you have on your body. So, when we are working our muscle and we're building muscle and we're using full body muscle, your metabolic response, aka your body's like energy that it has to expend, is through the roof, right? So that's one of the benefits. That's why this is a get lean body recomposition sort of program, because for the time that you're spending in this workout, you are getting a high return on your metabolic bang for your buck. Yeah. The second thing that we're really looking for is what's called peripheral heart action. So Jenna, this is where Jenna and I get real. We get real into Jenna. I
Real
saw the
nerdy, real
shoulder
quick.
shimmy. I saw you get real excited. So peripheral heart action. Don't worry, I'm gonna break this down for you. Peripheral heart action, all that means is we think about the words, okay? Peripheral, your periphery. So upper body, your extremities, upper body, lower body. Heart action means that because we're alternating between lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body, but with minimal rest, what that means is when I go from a lower body to upper body move, my lower body gets a breather while my upper body is working. And then my upper body gets a breather while my lower body is working. But guess what's working the whole freaking time? It's your heart. Okay. So peripheral heart action means your heart is shuttling blood back and forth to your periphery, upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, lower. So that rest, exactly. It's that sort of like cadence that allows your local muscle tissue to rest enough to get a high enough output to make sure you're doing enough work, but your heart rate is through the roof the whole time. And that's the most messed up part. So if you haven't done it, I pinky promise, you're going to remember this tonal talk. And I give you permission, as long as no kids are around, I give you permission to cuss me out. It's okay.
I also love that we're doing this program during Heart Month because I find it
That's right.
very
Yeah.
timely.
Yeah.
But it's incredible what you said. Again, German body comp training has been around for a while. It's been around since about the 90s. And again, it is proven to again have that high metabolic cost because we are shuttling the blood from upper to lower to front to back because we're using different parts of our body in succession, as you mentioned, alternating between those upper and lower body compound movements. So already movements that require a lot of muscles to work together to create that movement, and again moving between the different body parts, which really does increase that metabolic cost. But what's also so great about German body comp training, besides the metabolic cost and being able to do a lot of work in a short amount of time because we are alternating muscle groups, is the ability to build muscle or minimally maintain muscle mass. So a
Yeah.
lot of times when we think of a get lean program or a fat loss program, that is the only thing we're able to accomplish. We're kind of losing some body fat, but we're maybe also losing a little bit of muscle or strength at the same time. And it's a very delicate balance to be able to lose body fat while maintaining or building muscle mass. But the way that German body comp training works, because we are working with heavy enough loads, we are moving some good weight, especially with the style that we do it here and with the length of these workouts, you are actually able to build some strength, build some muscle, and minimally maintain it while you're recomping your body at the same time. So it's great for recomping. It's great for metabolic costs. It's also great for keeping that muscle mass on your body. So
Yeah.
you can't ask for anything more. So why we love it here and why we use it. So
I was gonna say, Jenna, the way you explain it, there's a part of me that's like, wow, that is, it's, I almost feel like I'm watching an infomercial in the sense that I'm like, this is too good to be true. What's the catch? And literally everything that Jenna said is true. The catch is that it's really hard. The catch is the effort that you have to put in. So that's literally
that's the
it.
catch. That's the
Yeah.
catch. And I know that there are some people in the chat that are like, how do I make this a little bit more approachable for somebody who's maybe intermediate? How do I participate? And we absolutely will get there. I promise. Hang
Yeah.
on. We will get there as we talk about this, because if you haven't experienced German body comp training, especially in this advanced format, with this volume of work, then you're definitely going to want to listen to our tips and tricks to make it definitely digestible for different levels. So Tim, in the Ascending Muscle Mountain 1, we did more of a traditional German body comp where you did kind of supersets, an upper
Yep.
and a lower compound, pushing and pulling, alternating, to create that effect. But we put a little twist on
Yeah.
GBC for Ascending Muscle Mountain 2. So talk to them about how it's a little bit different while still maintaining that GBC theme.
Yeah, so it is the same principles, but from a format perspective, we have three big blocks in our three big GBC days. So the third day, which I'll talk about separately, that so the layout is GBC day, core and cardio day, GBC day. So that's four workouts across the week. On the three GBC days, we have three big blocks. And what we're doing differently this time is instead of supersets, we're doing trisets. So supersets, if you're not familiar, that's two exercises back to back. Like Jenna said, they're opposing muscle groups. So it's either upper lower or a push pull, something of that nature. A triset is like what the name says, it's just three exercises back to back. So it'll be either two upper and one lower compound or two lower and one upper compound. So the first two blocks of your GBC days is going to be here's a triset with three compounds. Here's a triset with three compounds. That's block two. Block three is going to be an accessory move block. So instead of our big compound movements is where we get into more isolation work to really burn it out, get more of that localized muscular burn. So that's the big difference in terms of what the day-to-day format is like. As far as differences in terms of, and then sorry, real quick, that third day, right? So I said GBC, core and cardio, GBC. That core and cardio day, that's also going to be a fun, very spicy format. We're doing what's called a pyramid circuit. So the format of it ascends. Dude, even talking about it right now, one of my first meetings with Jenna is I was like, dude, this is really messed up. I feel so bad. But it's literally like your duration just ascends from like the beginning, you ascend, you reach a peaking point in the circuit, and then you start to descend back to shorter duration. So that's what's different. And then I would say the other big difference is just the volume that you're gonna accumulate from start to finish in this program is gonna be on a higher level than the volume you would accumulate from start to finish in Ascending Muscle Mountain 1.
I love the recap. And yes, I think that, we did our best on this one. And if we didn't put a pyramid day in Ascending Muscle Mountain, what are we even doing here, right? It made the most sense to
Yeah.
bring in that
Gotta
pyramid
ascend.
format.
Yeah.
You got to climb the mountain and then you get to come back down the mountain. And yes, as Tim was talking about kind of those ascending durations or ascending reps, that is something that we have stuck with from the first one. So if you did Ascending Muscle Mountain 1, those reps and those durations ascend with every set, and they ascend with every week. So you will see increasing durations, increasing reps within the workouts, and of course within the weeks themselves. And again, as Tim mentioned, there are 3 GBC days and then the 1 core and cardio day. So again, Tim talked about like the calendar that we're providing for this challenge and for this program. The GBC days are a heavy effort day and do require recovery. So when it comes to the workout cadence, we'll have you do a GBC day, then we recommend you take a day off. That is your rest day. There will be supplemental mobility and recovery workouts that you can plan on that day. Then you come back after your rest day, you do another GBC day. You are going to be recommended to work out the next day, but that's your core and cardio day. So we are, again, not going to have 2 GBC days back to back. That is why we've laid out the calendar the way that we have. Now, again, you are welcome to take that calendar and make it work with your life so that you can commit to this program. But that is our recommendation, so that you're never doing 2 of these GBC days back to back, because of the level of effort and because they are full body. You will have a lot of that muscle crossover from one day to the other. We will avoid certain muscle patterns repeating, but still you're going to use muscles, like your shoulders are going to be worked, whether you're, pushing or pulling. A lot of times your shoulders take a lot of it. So certain things like that, we recommend you follow the calendar the best that you can. However, you absolutely can manipulate it, but we would recommend making sure you build in some recovery between those GBC days, because of what Tim was talking about and the effort and the recovery that our bodies need to go through after doing one of those high effort days. So
Yeah. Jenna, can I
um,
add one last detail that I forgot to add? I don't think it's like a deal breaker for anyone, but when Jenna talked about the way that it's literally why the program is called Ascending Muscle Mountain, is because your volume, the way that it's structured is your volume will literally ascend from week to week to week. So you're going to be beating your volume every week. The one thing that I forgot to mention when I was laying out the format is that the workouts themselves will stay the same across all 4 weeks, meaning there's not going to be variations in exercises and whatnot. The place where you're going to get your variation is the loading parameters. Loading parameters meaning like the number of reps you're doing, and et cetera, to make you accumulate that volume over the course of the 4 weeks. I just want to say that so that you don't go into it being like, whoa, I was expecting so much variety. And listen, I know our communities, many in our community do love variety, but the reason why I love this format specifically, yes, you're going to get variety in the sense of like your experience of each week will be different, even though the moves are the same. Your experience of the workouts will be different because we're cranking up the volume. But also, I think it's a great like learning opportunity to see that you don't have to be changing stuff all the time to make incredible progress with your body. You can stick with the basics, and we can manipulate some variables with the basics without changing those exercises, and you can still get a really awesome training effect and really awesome results.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Tim, because a lot of times, one thing that can actually stall our progress is doing too much progression at once. Systematic overload or progressive overload is really designed to be manipulating one variable at a time. So we want to either turn up the volume, or we want to work on increasing maybe the technicality or the variations. Very rarely do we want to have to do both at the same time. When we change up variations too frequently and add on too much load all at once, then our body gets a little overloaded, is not able to really adapt. We're not able to see the results as fast as if we were to break those things up and kind of focus on either overloading via volume or overloading via technique and technical, motivation, that we're pushing ourselves to these higher technical lifts that we're doing, and adding variation in. So I love that you brought that up. We did keep that element from Ascending Muscle Mountain 1. And it's a great piece of this program. And again, I think why people saw so much great results from the first time around, and I know that they're going to see it again. So we talked about it a little bit, but just to reiterate, those weekly progressions. So
Yep.
same movement variations all 4 weeks. Week 1, again, is your baseline, right? Like you're getting used to those 3 German body comp days, their new little bit of structure. You're getting used to that new spicy cardio and core day that is in there. And the recovery that it takes. And so your body is going to take some time. We always say, like, work hard, but recover harder. So make sure that you're listening to your body, giving yourself proper rest as you kind of learn the lay of the land in week one. And then from there, you're climbing. You're climbing Mount Everest in this one. So every week, extra sets in specific blocks. We add on extra sets again in week 3. We add on extra rounds in our cardio pyramid in week 4. So over the course of 4 weeks, we go from about 20 sets of work per workout all the way up to 30 sets of work per workout. So yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's no joke. It's no joke. But I will also say, before we move on to the next thing, I'm looking at the comments right now, and I do see some folks that are like, "Oh my God, I think this might be too advanced for me." We're gonna talk about in just a second, like how to scale that. Like, if this program really is of interest to you, how do you scale this to meet yourself where you're at? And I'll also say, like, for myself, in my own training journey, like there were certain times in my own journey. In fact, one specific program comes to mind that this program actually very closely replicates. It was very like full of compounds, minimal rest, like it was super messed up. And it was actually a 16-week program. And I remember having this moment of like, am I ready for this? And I thought about it. I'd been training for a little bit. And of course, as I break down ways to scale this, what I'm not saying is to ignore your body signals. What I'm not saying is to train in a stupid way. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is that if there's some sort of itch in you that knows that you've been training for a bit and there's some curiosity, the only way in many cases to really know if you're ready for it is to do it. And I'll talk about that in just a second for how to scale this in a way if you really are scared of like just going full-blown intensity, how can you start to dip your toes in the water a little bit? But I just want to address that because I'm seeing a little bit of that in the comments, and I just want you to know I get it. I totally get it. And sometimes it doesn't mean that you have to be pushing yourself like this all the time year round. In fact, that's probably unsustainable. But I do think as a coach, I would be lying to you and it would be a disservice to say that like some of your best seasons of training will be right before you take the leap into something that intimidates you a little bit. And then it's working your way through that, getting to the other side of the 4 weeks and being like, holy crap, like I can't believe I did that, right? That's where a lot of times this unlock happens mentally. And then you take that with you to your training journey going forward.
For sure. And I love that because it is sometimes like that's the hardest step, right? Is the one that you're the most scared to take. And it's right before you unlock greatness or untap that potential you didn't know you have. Also, we probably could spend the whole 45 minutes talking about all the ways that you can personalize this program and make it work for you. I am such a huge advocate for every person I have ever trained, who's ever attended my classes, who's ever done any workout I've ever designed, which there are a lot of them. I always say, like, make the workout work for you and not the other way around. So I don't want you to try to fit yourself into a program that does not work for you. But I do want you to feel empowered and know all of the ways that you can make this program work for you where you are at using tonal, because there are so many tools at your disposal. So we just want to make sure that you know all of the options that you have so that you can make it work for you if you are interested in participating. So as we get into that, because that's what I want to dive into next. First and foremost, I'm gonna steal Leah's term. She said, welcome to the lurkers club. If you just want to lurk, if you want to be in the challenge group, like I mentioned in the beginning, and you just want to take Tim's great advice, you want to listen to his Q&As, you want to read the questions that people have and then look at the responses and gain information and knowledge. If you just want to steal those mobility and recovery workouts that we have planted for this program, you are welcome. The Lurkers Club is a great place to be.
Love the Lurkers
Doing
Club.
a different program or a different workout series right now, absolutely, you can still be part of this challenge and gain information and maybe gain a little bit of confidence to try this one down the road. But just save it in your saved workouts in your app, and maybe come back to it another time. But
Yeah.
if you are ready to dive in and you are a beginner, let's say, Tim, so for our
Yeah.
beginner members, maybe they're new to tonal, maybe they're new to resistance training, maybe they're new to the style of training. Give
Mhm.
me some options for people that are at that beginner level.
Yeah. So just like we talked about, Jen, I love that. Like if you are wanting to dip your toes into the water and see, is this right for me? Very simple way you can do this, and I love that Tonal gives us this option, is you can do week one in recovery weights mode, right? So like if you do it in recovery mode and you just repeat those workouts, like listen, especially if you're a beginner, even on recovery mode, you might still find yourself challenged. So what I would do, let's say beginner, you're like, I'm really curious. Let me just try this. You go into workout one, recovery mode. See how your body feels in the next like 2 to 3 days. Do you have DOMS, which is just a way of saying like delayed onset muscle soreness? So are your muscles sore for a super long time? All I want you to do after you do workout one in recovery mode is just monitor your how you're recovering. If you are feeling like your recovery timeline's a little extended, you're like, dang, like 3 days, like I'm still kind of sore. Amazing. That's good information right now. Maybe after you that soreness subsides, you try workout two, also in recovery mode, but maybe you just stick with those two workouts for that first week. And a good way to play this, especially if you want to just stick with us for 4 weeks, is maybe you just repeat that pattern over the course of the 4 weeks. And what you might find, I think what you probably will find is that by week four, your body's recovering faster, your body has locked in the movements, you're feeling stronger, you're noticing some visual differences. So that's how I would approach that if you were a beginner. Just recovery mode, see how you're feeling. If you're recovering quickly, amazing. As soon as your body's back to baseline, go into the next workout and just kind of follow that process. Like Jenna said, the calendar, you do not have to marry yourself to it. Let this work for you. This should be for you and customized to you. If you're intermediate, again, this is kind of like it's going to be an it depends, but potentially use recovery mode as needed. Again, if you want to just experiment with it, see what workout one is like on recovery mode. Let's say you recover fine. You're like, okay, I think this is fine. Great. You can then do workout one again at full throttle and then see how your body responds then. And you can kind of take it that same way. Let's say you're doing it at full throttle, from the start, and you're like, okay, I think I can handle this. Another way you can do this if you're at that intermediate level is just space out the workouts a little more. And you guys, here's the thing. I know it's a 4 week program, but it's not the end of the world. You're not going to lose progress if you extend it out to 5 weeks because your body's asking for more rest, right? Like we have stressful lives. Sometimes our body just asks for extra rest. If you go 5 weeks, 5.5 weeks, this in and of itself is a learning experience, and you're going to get so much out of this, even if you have to tweak the timeline a bit. So that's how I would adjust it if you are a beginner or intermediate.
I love that. I'm going to go back to talking about recovery weights. So again, for those of you who haven't played with recovery weights before, there is that toggle. When you start a workout, you can also do this in the workout. You can choose the workout and you can select recovery weight. Recovery weight can still be somewhat challenging depending on the volume. And that is probably the thing that's going to be the most difficult for a beginner level to jump into this program is going to be the total volume of the workout. But also remember, when you're on recovery weight, you can still adjust the weight. Nothing you do will affect your strength score or your suggested weights for any other workouts that you do. So if you're in recovery weight and you're like, wow, this is still really heavy for me, given how much I still have left in this workout, or given how much I'm trying to bite off this week, feel free to still dial it down. Nothing is going to impact your future weights in a future workout. So, recovery weight is like, yes, it takes a little bit off the top to help you out, but it's also that safe place where you can be like, you know what? Maybe I want to go up, maybe I want to go down and play it exercise by exercise. So, don't forget when you are in recovery mode, you have that autonomy to adjust your weights and not worry about it having any repercussions on future workouts that you do where you want your full suggested weights. So that's another great thing about using recovery mode for beginners. And also, again, as you mentioned, intermediates who may want to take it as needed.
Yeah.
But yes, I love that I don't think we talk about it enough. So I really want to hit what you said before about repeating the first workout or two, or repeating that first week until you feel your body adjusting, until you've gained that endurance, you've gained that work capacity, you've gained the strength, and your body is able to recover better from those workouts. That first week is going to be the lowest volume week of all of the weeks of this program. So that is
Yeah.
a great place to be. keep working on that week and chip off workouts of week one until you're like, okay, I'm doing this workout. I'm not sore for multiple days after. It's not taking me, an excessive amount of time to recover from these. I think I'm ready to jump into week two, which has that increase in volume. So I think that should go for every program. And I want to make sure that, again, if you're doing this program, if you're not doing this program right now, whatever program you're on, if you find that first workout or two or that first week challenging, go back and repeat it and do that first week or two until you feel like, hey, I've got this now. My body is ready and is in a better place. And now I can continue to move down the other weeks as they progress. So I think those are great ways. And then the other thing you mentioned, to reiterate, is adding in those extra rest days. It's okay if it takes you
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 12, 24 weeks to finish it. It's
That's
whatever.
24.
That would be a long time, but if
One workout
you
per week.
yeah, if you need to do
Yeah.
one workout per week, then that's what you do. So again, you have that ability to do this program and do it at the pace that works best for you, whether it's because of your lifestyle or because of your current level, where you're at in your fitness journey. So feel free to
Yeah.
take all of that into your hands and into your control as you decide how to tackle the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm Allison. I'm laughing at your comment. You said, thanks for giving me permission, Jenna, to decrease the weight further. She added a laughing emoji.
You are welcome. I'm here to give you permission all the time. I
Yeah.
I give all of the permission. Again, I'm
Yeah.
always advocating for you guys to
Yeah.
make the decisions that work best for you.
100%.
We've been doing a lot of that in the TTL. So if you've been
Yeah.
in the TTL doing workouts, there's been a lot of making those adjustments to make sure that we get through these workouts that are challenging us in the best ways. Um, awesome. I love all of those tips and tricks, and I'm hopeful that no matter where you are in your fitness journey, that Tim and I have given you some great ideas to really make this program or any program work for you in the future. So we've talked about the program. We've talked about, how to modify it, how to adjust it to make sure it works for people. But let's talk about why we're doing a challenge and what a challenge occurs, when it occurs, and what people can expect. Because some people, this might be their very first
Yeah.
challenge, or they might just be lurking in all the other
Yeah.
challenges, but they actually want to participate in this one.
Oh
So
my gosh.
break down the nuts and bolts of participating in a challenge versus just
Yeah.
doing this program on your own.
Yeah. Okay. So if you have never done a challenge before, in fact, I get a lot of joy. This has happened to me so many times where like my challenge group is like someone's first challenge and they're like, oh my gosh, I love the tonal community. Like I'm obsessed with doing programs. I'm like, yes, come on in, come on in. So yeah, if you're a lurker, you are welcome to come into the group. But the difference between doing just a program and then doing a challenge, when you're doing a program, you're just doing this on your own, right? So you're at home, you're clicking through the workouts every single day, you check the box and then you're done. The challenge, it is we're going through the program, but we're doing it all together as a group. And again, there is flexibility here. So if you go into the challenge group, you've never done this before, and you're like, oh my God, I can't go at everyone's pace, you don't have to. On any given day when I'm responding to posts, there are some people that might be on like day 3. Other people are like, hey, I'm going out of town this weekend. So I got my day 4 done ahead of time. And then someone else is like, man, I need an extra recovery time. I just finished day 2. So like, it's totally fine. And what I love about these challenge groups is it is super supportive, which is why we do it in the first place. Like for me, it's like that phrase, misery loves company. Not to say that you're going to be miserable. I'm not going to say you're going to be miserable. I am going to say it is going to be very challenging, but it is like anybody who's done something challenging in the presence of other people who are also doing the same challenging thing. There's something very powerful about that experience, right? Because you go through sort of this roller coaster that only the people who are in there at the same time as you are experiencing. And to me, that's like the big sell on doing a challenge. On top of that, unlike a program where you just have me on screen, in a challenge, I'm interacting with you in real time. I'm checking into the Facebook group every single day. I'm answering questions where I can. I'm creating videos. If I notice that the same question has been asked 10 times, instead of me answering the same question 10 times, I make a video. I'm like, hey, you guys, I've heard this question over and over again. Here's a video breaking down this move. And personally, I love to make these challenges as customized to the people who are in it as possible. Like if you're getting into this group, I want to make sure that you get a truly different experience than you would just doing this on your own. To close out, we also have a Facebook Q&A that we'll do on the 18th. And that will be your opportunity to ask me any questions you have where I can answer in a live format. You know me, I'm somebody who loves music, so I might be queuing up maybe some playlist suggestions or so. And then the last thing is, as a group, I always love to do this with my challenge groups. We got to come up with a name. So past challenge groups are the Barbell Baddies, the Holiday Hustlers, Team Legendary for Ultimate Legs. But we got to come up with one together. So I'll post some stuff at the end of this week. And then the other thing is, because this challenge is so demanding from a physical standpoint, I'm actually going to challenge all of us to, and again, you don't have to do this, but if you would like to maximize your time in the challenge group, I'm going to challenge you. See what I did there? I'm going to challenge you to decide on one recovery practice that you're going to iterate and get better at as the month goes. So whether that is sleep related, maybe that is meditation, maybe that is just taking a step away from your laptop every day. If you're someone who's glued in, whatever it is at the top of the challenge, I'm going to ask us all to commit to, hey, what's the one recovery practice you're going to really hone in on? Because this is going to be stressful on the body. So we got to balance that out. Exactly what Jenna said. I love the phrase train hard, recover harder. So that's going to be a little bit of a lifestyle factor that I'm going to help coach us through as well. But we all get to do it together to hold ourselves extra accountable. So in short, challenges are a really good time. I would love to see you in there, but you're also welcome to just be a lurker too. So.
Well, I've been seeing like Allison, I've been seeing some other comments here coming as you were talking, and people are like, I wasn't going to do it, but I can't pass up a Tim challenge. And if you are new to a Tim challenge and you have not been paying attention for the last 51 minutes, he gives life coach energy. If you haven't picked up on that already, doing a challenge with Tim is incredible. And all of our coaches offer such different pieces and nuggets that you can take from them. But Tim really does bring you that holistic piece and really does help you balance kind of that part of your life where you need to maybe work on some habit retraining, whether it's sleep or you know, whatever it is, as you were mentioning, breath work, and Tim really will kind of wrap it all together for you. So you're getting a lot more than just this workout program and accountability. You really are getting some great lifestyle and life practice work as well. And so things that are going to make you challenge yourself up here as well as here. So
100%,
I
100%.
I love it. I love it. So yes, we will release a challenge calendar for this program. And again, it'll lay out the workout days on the cadence that we recommend. However, as we've said multiple times tonight, again, take that challenge and make sure that calendar works for you. And on those off days, we have added a mobility or recovery workout to each week. What is fun and a little bit different this challenge versus other ones is, yes, this is an advanced program. So some of those recovery workouts that we've put in there are considered advanced, and that's mainly because they get into some mobility and some stretches that are a little deeper. They're going to make you work for that mobility, work for that flexibility. Some of those workouts are a little longer, I will say, like in the 25 to 35-minute range. Typically we plug in some shorter 15-20 minute recoveries. But because of the amount of effort and work that you're doing on your program days, as we mentioned, work hard, recover harder, that recovery effort needs to match the workout effort. So some of these mobility and recovery workouts are going to feel like workouts. They're not going to be just laying there and being like a spa and just, you know, stretching gently. Some of them are going to make you sweat a little bit. But they're really going to be so beneficial for how your body recovers and adapts during this 4 weeks. So they are there for you, and they are also going to challenge you just in a completely different way. All right, Tim, last question
Well,
before we get into some Q&A, because I know that I saw a lot of questions, and I think
yeah,
we tried our best to answer them as they came in real
yeah.
time. But if we didn't, we want to leave some time at the end. So we've talked a lot about kind of, you know, the rigors of this program. So if somebody is coming off of maybe 4-week fast track, Accelerate or another program, what are your recommendations for kind of transitioning into this program based on maybe what somebody has done beforehand? How can they best prepare for that?
Yeah. So I love this question because it really is about essentially what you're asking is how does someone set themselves up for success at the top of this program? Yeah, wherever they're starting from. So if you are coming from a program that has really challenged you, and this is where I give the caveat of there's always a little bit of it depends and listen to your body, but I always strongly recommend check in with your body. How are your fatigue levels? Do you have any things that are like starting to creep up, like aches and pains? Maybe a deload week is in order for you. Yeah. If that's the case, I've had people do this before where they like my challenge starts and then they're like, oh, but I'm doing a deload week. But then they like come in like a week later and it's totally fine. It's totally fine. And sometimes those people too, they just like do week one in like to your point, they do recovery mode and then they just repeat week one, but then with full weight. So then they feel like they're starting with a group. There's also like if you're somebody, recovery capacity also differs from person to person. I know for me personally, I can go like I'll usually because of my job too at Tonal. I don't know if you know this, I work out on camera. But like I do have like deloads baked into my own training. But like it also like it had it not been for Tonal, like in some of my own training, I can usually with my body's recovery capacity, I could usually swing like 2 phases before doing like a serious deload. So really just listen to your body here. If you're on the flip side and you're somebody who is either more on the beginner end, intermediate, I talked about ways to scale this. If you're advanced, but you feel like you've been a little out of the game and you're like, okay, I think I could do this in theory, but I don't want to feel like I got smacked upside the head in week one. You could do, because we still have like what 5 days left till the start of the challenge. You could do what we like to call a ramp up week, which is where you just like there's a number of awesome one-off classes. Like Ash just did a special one for American Heart Association, right? This is kind of your opportunity to explore Tonal's vast array of offerings and just see like what piques my interest. Well, the good thing is you don't need to commit to a whole program. Just a couple workouts that'll get you back into the groove so that by the time you start this challenge, you're like, all right, I'm locked in. My body's had an opportunity to ease back in. I'm ready to go. So that's how I would go if you're doing something really hard or if you're coming back from a little time away. Yeah.
I love it. And I think that that goes for, whatever program you're doing next. If you're coming off of Accelerate and you maybe took some time off before that, it was the holidays, time was busy, you're probably in a great spot to jump right
Yeah.
into this program.
Yep.
That,
Yep.
especially that intermediate track was probably a great ramp up for
Totally.
what that program was designed to do is really set the foundation for programs moving forward. But like you said, if you haven't taken a deload in that last 10, 12 weeks, and you've been challenging yourself consistently, like probably a good time to throw in a deload week. So,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
oh
Yep.
my God, Tim, we've covered so much tonight.
Yeah.
I do
We have traversed the mountain, Jenna.
have traversed it. And there was one question, the last one I just want to touch that somebody mentioned
Awesome.
was Allison asked, are the exercises rep based or time based? This is
Yeah.
a rep based program with ascending reps. You will see, our off tonal moves are always time based and things like that, but this is a majority of this program is all going to be rep
Yeah.
based. So you'll be given those rep targets to hit for each workout, and they
Yep.
will increase week over week. But besides that, I think we did our best to hit the questions up. And hey, if you still have more questions, even more reason to join in on this challenge
Totally.
that kicks off on February 3rd
Yeah.
with Tim. Join the challenge group, grab the calendar, save this program when it drops on the trainer in a
Yeah.
couple of days, and get ready to climb the mountain
That's it.
put in the work.
Get
So
ready to climb the mountain.
we loved chatting with you tonight. Thank you so much to
Thank
everybody
you
that joined
guys.
us. It was
The
so such
comments were so funny.
no,
Loved.
the comments were cracking me up, and I
Oh
was like,
my
I,
God.
I wanted to just dive in there at the same time, but I was like, I was trying to keep my focus here, but I was like, I
Yeah,
wanted to.
me too. If you ever saw my eyes, like it's because I have like the Facebook comments right here too.
Tim and I are gonna like go back like as we're laying in bed tonight and like read through all
Yeah.
of the comments that we
I
missed.
do that a lot. I do that a lot after these live chats because we don't catch all the comments in real time. So I'll scroll through. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this person said this. Like, yeah.
So
So
we'll
funny.
try to drop back in there.
Yeah,
And again, we're so excited to see you. Tim does have
Yep.
a fun Ascending Muscle Mountain themed class at the Tonal Training Lab coming up at the end of February. It is sold out, but get yourself on
I'll
that
talk
wait list
about
if
it
you're,
more.
yeah,
Yeah.
the wait list works. So as
Yep.
people drop off, spots open up. So you never know, you might sneak in a spot on that class, and there might be some other fun things happening as well.
Mhm.
So if you haven't checked it out, check out the Tonal Training Lab. Come see Tim in person before it wraps up February 28th. And again, we'll kick things off on February 3rd with Ascending Muscle Mountain 2.
That's it, y'all. Get ready to climb the mountain. I am super pumped. Join that group, and then I'll be popping in there by the end of the week so we can get our challenge started.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Tim, for your time. As always, the information and the motivation that you provide for our community here, we're grateful and thankful for all that you do. And thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I'm Jenna,
Thank you,
Coach
Jenna.
Tim.
I'm Tim.
We'll see you
Peace.
on the next one.
See you guys.